From Politico by Jason Bieferman and Emily Ngo. I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. Leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide and lauded Republicans who believed they support slavery. I'm ready to watch people burn now, and I think it's important to say specific individuals' names because they should be known, because not only should they be expelled, I do believe in consequences for your words, and there are some things that are said that you go, there's no forgiveness for it. You can get older and look back with sadness or remorse and wish you hadn't have done a thing because of the things that it barred you from in life, but those things should be barred from your life. This individual should never find themselves on another campaign for any party. Nobody who comes out with some BS apology, I can do better and I'm going to learn from my mistakes and move forward, should be allowed to serve on anybody's campaign. And pay attention to what individuals in Congress decide to still hire individuals who are part of this group message. Every single person who's part of this should be exposed. Kay Katie, New York's national committee member, was the one who said, "I'm ready to watch people burn now." There's no growing from that. How do you say one day that I'm ready to watch people burn now, and then the next day I apologize for that? It was taken out of context. There's no excuse for this type of language. Now, to be clear, this exchange was part of a trove of Telegram chats attained by Politico, spanning more than 7 months of messages among young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. We have the following statement from Republican Governor Phil Scott, who says, "The hateful statements made in this group chat are disgusting and unacceptable. The vile, racist, bigoted, and anti-Semitic dialogue that has been reported is deeply disturbing. There is simply no excuse for it. Those involved should resign from their roles immediately and leave the Republican Party." The members that make up this Telegram chat span both the national and local chapters. As of right now, we know that the Kansas chapter has been shut down due to the release of these text messages. We also have some specifics here from Forbes that provide information like Peter Junta, time as chief of staff to Republican New York Assembly member Mike Riley, has ended. Riley told Politico and Joseph Maligno that he is no longer employed at the New York Unified Court System. The job statuses of 2 other members changed after Politico began making inquiries about the chat before the article published on Tuesday. William Hendricks is no longer employed at Kansas Attorney General's Chris Kobach's office, and Bobby Walker will not move forward with plans to work on New York congressional candidate Peter Oberacher's campaign. Gunta, then chair of the New York State Young Republicans, actually suggested anyone who voted against him becoming chair of the Young Republican National Federation is going to the gas chamber. He also likened watching an NBA game to watching monkeys play ball. He referred to black people as watermelon people and expressed support for slavery. He also wrote the phrase, "I love," insert the most vile individual to have ever lived. Maligno, who previously identified himself as general counsel for the New York State Young Republicans, reportedly responded to Junta's gas chamber suggestion by writing, "Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the Hitler aesthetic." Hendricks, vice chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, allegedly used the N-word more than a dozen times, and Walker, vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to rape as epic and used the F-word to refer to members of the LGBTQ community, the slur. Now, as I said, there has been backlash from both sides of the aisles condemning the behavior of those involved in this chat. Anybody with morals or ethics or just a good human being can clearly see that there is no defense of this. These individuals do not represent any type of party. This is a growing separate movement. What this country stands for is being toppled so easily. Now, we've known there have been people who want to see America fall for the longest time. I think what more people are surprised about is how easy it was to take over, how much capitulating we are seeing from schools, from businesses, how easy it was to sway the poor and the vulnerable and the misguided into believing that a billionaire has your best interest in mind. And you're going to see where I'm going with this, in that to be at a time where we have a president who loves to voice his opinion on everything from political matters to late night TV show firings. We know what he thinks. To be silent when a group that has expressed excitement at being endorsed by him is exposed as having the most hateful, deplorable individuals texting about doing terrible things to a number of communities in America. To have the president stay silent speaks volumes. At least as of now, on October 15th, we have heard nothing from the president. The only thing we've seen from the president is him on a golf course with his granddaughter telling billionaires, I'm bringing your taxes down. That's what we've seen from the president. Trump is money, which is why he's on the golf course telling billionaires, I did it, y'all. I got in there. I can't believe these fools believe me. Your taxes are down. You're going to continue to get richer. But what he does is he appeals to a group motivated by hatred. And I said this before he was elected. I can understand why people were tired of the norm. I can understand why people were tired of the Dems, who have a lot of issues on their side. And one of the biggest ones, and we're seeing this reflected in the California governor candidate, Katie Porter, who still hasn't resigned after all of these videos were leaked, showing just how disgusting of a person she is. Dems have an image issue. They come off as individuals on their high horse, moral superiority police, people who act like their ish don't stink. We are better than the masses. So I can understand being tired of that group. What I don't understand, especially when it comes to the minorities that voted for this, is how they could not see that Trump does not give a damn about the working class. He does not give a damn about fixing your issues. He gives a damn about billionaires. However, he will utilize and bring with him a bunch of racists, because one of the things he is really good at is identifying a strength or weakness. And he could see that there were a bunch of individuals who had white supremacy on their mind, who were willing to back him. And what's great about having that group behind you is it doesn't matter what deplorable things you do. It doesn't matter what deplorable things you say. They will always have your back. This is purely racism based. And again, that is what these text messages exposed to me. These are individuals who you will never win in an argument, because you're arguing policies, they're arguing hatred. And again, that's what I think these texts reflect. It is troubling that the president is quiet on this, because he's not going to upset his true base, which is members that make up this Telegram chat. And the vice president, instead of just coming out and saying this is wrong, we do not support this, we do not endorse this, these individuals should be punished, is still playing political games. Be wary of the individuals who, when confronted with something that is objectively, very clearly wrong, goes to, well, look at what the other side is doing. And I'm talking about be wary of both sides who do this. If a Democrat is asked about Jay Jones and his message on shooting a political opponent, that Democrat should condemn it, say, I don't endorse that viewpoint, I don't endorse him, move on. They should not go, well, what about when the Republicans? No, don't play those games with people. Don't fall into the party game that they want you to play, because that is when the billionaires continue to win. You're still focused on donkeys and Republicans, not focused on classism. So also be wary of JD Vance when his talking point is, well, what happened? What about when the Dems did that? That is way worse. This is the problem of the Dems. What about the group that just said they love Hitler? What about that, Vice President? That is it. This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. And I'm glad it was exposed, man, but it worries me that there is infiltration again by a movement, a white supremacist movement, that are gaining legitimate power and are effectively using people's fears, disadvantaged people's fears, people who maybe come from communities that just aren't that well educated or that in touch with what is actually occurring in our nation. And they're using it to get their actual agenda accomplished, which is, I mean, we don't need to repeat it, man. There is no way that we should be living in a country like America in witnessing law enforcement, federal law enforcement, going into communities, knocking down doors, taking half naked children and zip tying them and throwing them out on the streets for hours. That is not America. That is a problem.